Another big story that we've been following for the past few days has got to do with Sudan, not just the fighting between two factions over in the country, but of course the big focus was South African nationals who were stuck in the country during what is now being called the civil war. We had reports that there were up to 77 South Africans that are stuck in the country. We understand they have now been taken to safety. At least that's what I'm hearing from Clayson Monyela. Let's bring in Gift of the Givers to give us the latest on this. I believe I have Imtiaz Sooliman, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman himself with us. Dr. Sooliman, good morning. I appreciate your time. Congratulations on all the amazing work from all South Africans, I'm sure. Where are we this morning? Are the South Africans safe? Hello to you.
Good morning, Gareth. Thank you for the kind words. There's 6 South Africans in Port Sudan. They're still in the country. They're waiting to go out sometime today on a ferry from Port Sudan to Jeddah. The DIRCO has to speak to the Saudi authorities to give them permission to come through. Many of the people in the country, not only South Africans, but other nationalities, may not have passports or don't have entry visas. That's a big challenge. There's 3 that landed in Djibouti. They got flights with other companies and other airlines, other national governments who evacuated citizens. So 3 of them are in Djibouti. Yesterday morning, 38 South Africans and 7 Angolans went on 2 buses that Gift of the Givers arranged, but DIRCO paid for. And these 45 civilians are very close to the Egyptian border right now. They left around 12:10 yesterday. Passing Khartoum, there were only 2 checkpoints. The rest of the road was uneventful. They stopped for some meals in some place where they finally could find something to eat. At 12 o'clock, they took a break, and at 5 this morning, they left for the border. The challenge again is, are they going to get through without papers, without passport and visas? Of course, DIRCO has engaged the Egyptian government. Sadly, on Sunday night, after midnight, the entire network collapsed. And by the time the buses left on Monday by 12:10, we realized that 4 South Africans were left behind, and there was no way to get them out. So we then arranged a bus for the 4 South Africans. And in the process, of course, we got the Brazilian government calling us. They had 9 nationals they want to move out. So there were 4 Filipinos. There's some Egyptians. There's some Palestinians. So there's a whole lot of groups that want to come out, and we're going to give them all a lift on the bus. And of course, what was very sad was one of the South African ladies had to leave her 2 dogs behind. Dogs, being very sensitive animals, noticed that the luggage was being packed and they were not being taken with. So we're making arrangements for those dogs also to get on the bus this morning.
Shame. It's quite a thing, isn't it? Because I know that some people are going to say, well, who's worried about dogs in the middle of a civil war? But in the end, these were South Africans living their normal life over there, Doctor. And as you say, and you paint a very good picture that now you've had to uproot your life with no warning, something even as simple as your 2 dogs being left behind. But well done, trying to get the little fluffy friends out as well. Just health-wise, Dr. Sooliman, I haven't seen any reports of anybody with injuries or illnesses that are of grave concern that you had to move into buses and out of Khartoum. Just give me a sense, health-wise, is everyone in good health?
All of them are fine in good health, except one gentleman who's an American, and that is also a complicated issue. His wife is South African, the daughter is American. He got shot with a rubber bullet while walking through the markets of Khartoum. His leg was swollen, he's limping, and they didn't make any attempt to come to the buses yesterday because they were worried. They have no documentation, and the clearance is from South Africans, not for the US. So they're stuck in some kind of situation. They've been very traumatized. They've seen a lot of incidents. They've seen people shot. They were shot at. They've seen mayhem on the road. They just ran out of Sudan to the south. And I've been counseling the lady I'm not a counselor, but speaking to the lady for over an hour this morning and said, look, you have to get out. And before that, she said, but what about the paperwork? So I called the U.S. Consul General late last night to get hold of the American government and call center, and they will try to arrange the paperwork and speak to the Egyptian authorities. Happily, that lady is on the way with the husband, the only one so far that we know that was injured, with their daughter, and at 10:30, they should be at the site where our bus will leave from. That's the only injury I know about. Yeah. Others may be just a normal ill health we may have, or some kind of chronic conditions which they're taking the medication for, but nobody's complained about it.
It's quite astonishing, Dr. Sooliman, how you are able to get things done so quickly by getting on the phone with people. It really is astonishing work. I want to ask about the work of Gift of the Givers over there. Ordinarily, and I know you've been to conflict zones, yourself, but also your team goes at the drop of a hat as well. Ordinarily, it's natural disasters like Turkey, for example. This was a conflict zone. I see there's a ceasefire in place now. Just as I say goodbye to you, I want you to try and paint a picture for me how difficult it is to get your team into an active conflict zone and what essentially, along with Durko, you've saved the lives of South Africans. How difficult was it to operate in Sudan at the moment? Give me an idea.
Well, our advantage is that because of our network, we've been to 45 countries. I've been to Sudan before. We've assisted in Darfur. We've assisted in South Sudan. And strangely enough, in 2011, we evacuated Sudanese from Libya and took them to Sudan. That's the last time I've been there. And coming back to that, the bus, to get the bus, the third bus, we got the 2 buses yesterday, and they said money up front. And of course, Durko had the cash and paid for it. And then when we said for the third bus, the owner said no, cash up front. Otherwise, no bus, there's no bank, there's no economy, there's no market, no money, no bus. And we're thinking what to do. My Middle East representative lives in Turkey. We moved him there recently. He lived in Sudan for several years. He called a gentleman, and within 5 minutes, the man said, don't worry about money. Take the bus, we'll talk about money later. And that's the advantage you have of having influence and the right people in the right place. But one final point. When you go to a war zone, let's take Syria. When you get in, you are viewed with suspicion by both sides. Are you for or against? And both sides, if you seem to be helping and they think, oh, you're helping the one side, you are a target for both sides and both sides will shoot you. So it's very, very risky. We normally send a small team that goes first, look at the situation, see what can be done. And no, war is not acute. We don't say, okay, Monday's war, Tuesday we're going to get it. You wait for the things to settle, and when you see it's not settling, the situation gets worse, that's when you go in. And you find, and the most important thing is people have to see your neutrality. You treat everybody, you're not here for politics, you're here to help. Yeah, Unfortunately, because of that, we've succeeded in many, many situations.
Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, congratulations to you, your team, also, of course, to Durko as well, managing to get what sounds like all the South Africans that were stuck in Sudan out safely. Obviously, we were never going to ask details of how it happened. It's still a conflict zone, and they are still in transit. But congratulations to you and your team from Gift of the Givers. Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, somehow, with everything he does, still manages to find time to speak to us here on ENCA. Forever grateful to the good doctor.